Is Miraculous Ladybug, like, bigger than I thought or something? I feel like I've been seeing it pop up a lot more lately. I go to a store and see a bunch of Miraculous toys, and book bags, and novelty drinks. Just way more Miraculous merch than usual. It's kinda everywhere? I just didn't realize it was that popular now. So imagine my surprise while trying to think of a new video. I went out shopping and found not just one, but two Miraculous Ladybug video games. And we're not talking about mobile games here. These are full-fledged console games with, like, boxes and junk. And let's just say, my curiosity got the better of me. Let's play them! But first, for those of you who don't know, Miraculous, The Tales of Ladybug and Cat Noir, also known as just Miraculous Ladybug, is a French cartoon about a couple of superheroes named... well, take a guess. Their real names are Marinette Dupenchang and Adrien Agreste, and they protect the city of Paris from the evil Hawkmoth, a supervillain who uses these evil little butterfly things to possess random citizens and turn them into supervillains through a process called akumatization. His powers prey on, like, negative emotions and stuff, so whenever someone in Paris gets upset, Hawkmoth takes control and tells them to steal the source of Ladybug and Cat Noir's powers. They're miraculous. That's why the show's called that. It's a really fun show that could easily make a great video game. Not really sure how they could mess this one up. So let's pop the first game into my Nintendo Switch and check it out. This is Miraculous Ladybug: Rise of the Sphinx. As you might expect, the game begins with the very long loading screen. We're still going. Huh. Is the game gonna... Oh, okay, never mind. Thank God. Oh, that looks... not amazing. But let's not judge things too harshly yet. A game hasn't even gotten started, so... as I was saying, the game begins with business as usual in Paris, with Hawkmoth sending supervillains to fight Ladybug and Cat Noir. But his assistant, Mayora, has been hatching a bigger secret plot that requires some diversions. So while all that's going on in the background, we're fighting a guy in a pigeon suit. It's the tutorial stage, what do you expect? The game hands over control and the mission begins. We of course play as Ladybug or Cat Noir and can swap between the two at any time, and just kind of run around, jump on rooftops, and collect these glowing blue orbs, which you might think are just some standard video game collectible crap. And they are, but they do try to give them some kind of lore purpose here. You can take the orbs to the guardian of the Miraculous, Master Fu, who claims that they are very powerful and that their presence here is a grave omen. Then they go back to being standard video game crap. You use them to get upgrades, that's it. At least they tried. Anyway, as I make my way through the first level, I start to get a feel for the kind of game we're dealing with here. Rise of the Sphinx is a classic, kind of arcade-style beat-em-up game. The whole thing has this isometric bird's-eye perspective thing going on, and you can, like, punch, build up combos, do some special attacks, parries, or fail at parries. Maybe that one's just me. I've never been good at parrying in any game. What I'm saying is don't ask me to play Bloodborne. And I just sort of keep pushing forward until eventually I catch up to Mr. Pigeon and we get our first boss fight. Damn! Dude didn't stand a chance. Do we need to notify his next of kin? Now, if you know the show, then you know that Ladybug and Cat Noir almost never defeat a villain without using their special abilities, the Lucky Charm and the Cataclysm. And the game makes sure that those elements are on full display here by splitting up each phase of the boss fights with cutscenes that... Oh man, really? Are we still doing QuickTime events? In 2025? Are we serious? This game didn't come out in 2025. Where's the box? When did it come out? 2022. We still doing QuickTime events in 2022? Come on, are you serious? And I was just about to compliment these cutscenes too, man. I mean, for real, the rendering might look pretty rough, but the actual animation in these cutscenes is great. The lip sync might even be better than the show, but they just had to toss in some pointless, outdated QuickTime events to ruin the fun. Ugh. Luckily, they aren't particularly quick. The game really doesn't want you to fail them, so there's tons of time to respond. So, I don't know, it's not awful. I'm just biased. I've never liked QuickTime events in games, in any game. But we get through all of those and another phase of the boss fight, and boom, day saved. And most of Rise of the Sphinx follows that exact same structure. Run, jump, fight, boss, QuickTime events, repeat. But before we get to the next stage, we actually get some downtime to just kind of explore Paris, now playing as Marinette or Adrien instead of Ladybug and Cat Noir. And it's mostly nothing. You walk around, talk to people, do a few super quick, totally disposable missions. It's mostly padding. Even the story bits here are boring. All the plot elements that deal with Marinette and Adrien's life outside of their superhero stuff, and even the setups for all the villains are handled in that damn text box format that games do. You know, where these little portraits of the characters pop in and then just a big text box comes at the bottom and you just have to read. I don't know, some games do it right, but especially in licensed games like this, it's such a bore and it takes forever to get through. I wanted to give this game points for having the show's voice actors reprise their roles, but that point kinda gets taken away when 90% of the cutscenes are this. Most of the actual cutscenes with like voice acting and stuff are the ones with QuickTime events. Great. I don't know, as soon as I saw this, I was just really let down. Oh, who are you? That is not Adrian. The only real use for this part of the game is to let you go spend your orbs on upgrades, and to let you replay levels by interacting with these posters. Posters that, totally spoil every single villain in the game before they even show up. Oops! Does anyone else notice how horribly this game is running? Like this is bad, right? Why is everything so blurry and choppy? Half the textures don't even look like they've loaded in. I mean, not to be harsh, but this is like an iPhone-level video game, and yet it is barely running on the Nintendo Switch. It legit feels unfinished. I know the Switch isn't like the most high-tech of systems or anything, but this little tablet ran Breath of the Wild on day one. You're telling me they couldn't get Girl Spider-Man and Furry Fury to work on it? Jesus Christ, I'm only on level 3. Why are we in slow motion? Is the game dying? What's happening? This can't be right. Here, I'm gonna check out like the PlayStation 5 version or something and see if there's anything different. Oh my god, immediate improvement! No more frame drops, way higher resolution, and the graphics are actually, like, finished, which I mean is good. The level aesthetics here are actually pretty nice, but they did not look so on the last version of the game, man. Wow. Yeah, I feel bad for any big Miraculous fans who only have a Switch. That version is bad. Like, that is a bad version of the game. I mean, I was just about ready to call Rise of the Sphinx one of the worst cartoon games I've ever played. And on Switch, yeah, it kinda is. But luckily, on the PS5, all the technical issues are just gone. And now the game is still not good. Hooray. Yeah, Rise of the Sphinx ain't all that. I mean, playing on PS5 makes it competent, finished even, but the design itself is just toothless, even for a kid's game. Like, there's easy games, and then there's games that don't even try. Legit, it feels like every design choice here was made to avoid challenge at all costs. So like, you run around and fight stuff, but the game never really lets you do both at once. Probably 75% of each level is just like running and jumping, and every now and then you approach a group of enemies. But you can't do anything to them until the game locks you into a deliberate combat encounter. And I don't mean RPG style or anything like that. This is still a fighting game. The level won't let you keep going until all the enemies are dead, which, you know, isn't unheard of for beat-em-up games. But usually those games have way more enemies. Like, every single screen would have enemies. And they don't normally have this amount of just uninterrupted platforming. Usually, beat-em-up games like that are kind of like an endurance test. Like, can you get to the end mowing down all these enemies without losing all your health? But in Miraculous here, your health literally doesn't exist until the fights start. You don't have a health bar when you're just running around. It only shows up when you get locked into that encounter, and it completely refills at the start of every new fight, so you barely have to worry about it. Outside of combat, it might genuinely be impossible to fail. All you can really do is fall off the stage, at which point you're loaded right back in where you left off. There's no like lives system, so as far as I know, you really don't get punished for falling off the stage. There are absolutely zero stakes. The game is damn near mindless, and it's so repetitive and just slow enough to really drag after only a couple levels. The only times they really try to change things up are in the boss fights. You got one that's based on stealth. Kinda. The boss spent more time running away than anything, but, you know, it's the thought that counts, I guess. There's a boss where you have to chase it around in a circle. Oh, there's also a level where Paris gets turned into a video game. So to match that kind of meta theme, you know, the boss is a quiz. The boss fight for the video game level is multiple choice Miraculous trivia. Remember when I said the game was taking every opportunity to remove challenge? But then, right before the end of the game, there's this one boss fight against a popular Mean Girl character named Chloe. And out of nowhere, the difficulty here just goes through the roof. Chloe's superpower is cloning herself. So this fight really is an endurance test to see if you can make it through all these hordes of enemies. And I'm not gonna lie, I legit got stuck here for a little while. But once it's done, everything just goes back to being piss easy again. So the game just decided to try for a bit, and that was it. That was all you get. But throughout all of this, getting back to the story for a second, Mayora's plan sets into motion. She's got the power of the Peacock Miraculous that lets her create even bigger villains called Centimonsters. And while Ladybug and Cat Noir run around defeating more of Hawkmoth's villains, Mayora is building up a powerful Centimonster, this giant caterpillar thing, which feeds on people's negative emotions until it eventually evolves into the Sphinx, which was previously established to be rising. This big-ass bug has the power to now spread negative emotions throughout Paris, which I guess would give Hawkmoth and Mayora like endless power, so it's up to Ladybug and Cat Noir to stop it. And the final stage here is actually a pretty cool set piece where you have to scale this giant tower after it's been taken over by the Sphinx. It's still kind of same old, but you know, it feels climactic. And once we get to the top, we square off against the monster in a boss fight that is leagues easier than the Chloe one. Like, wow, I still can't get over that. But then the Sphinx hits Ladybug with the powder that makes you sad.
It's the powder that makes you sad.
And she nearly gives up the fight until hearing the cheers of her fellow Paris citizens rooting for her snaps her out of it in like a minute. Tops. I guess it's just that easy. Now let this be a lesson to you. If you're depressed, all you have to do is make sure that literally everyone loves you, and you'll be fine. Good, try it. Value how people view you over your own self-confidence. It's easy. If one of those people doesn't love you, it's not good enough. Keep going. Anyway, phase 2, we beat the shit out of Hawkmoth, kill the bug, and bada bing, bada boom, the day is saved, and the game is bad. Hey, by the way, if you're enjoying this video and you want to see more videos about cartoons and cartoon video games, you can hit the subscribe button. It's below this video, and there's a bell next to it that you can also ring. You'll get notifications when the videos come out. Cool. So considering my experiences with that first game, going into the sequel, Miraculous Ladybug, Paris Under Siege, my expectations were not high. I pretty much assumed that this was going to be the exact same game as the first one with a few new bells and whistles. Not particularly exciting, but we're here for a reason. So the game starts up and... whoa. Oh my god. Is that full camera control? That's new, and dude, why is she so fast? Ladybug's moving like twice as quick now, jeez. Dude, are we swinging from building to building? Am I going crazy, or does this game kind of rock? Yeah, Paris Under Siege is a completely different game than Rise of the Sphinx. And in a rare turn of events, just about every issue I had with the first game has not just been completely fixed, but tons of other changes have been made to make this a way more engaging experience, front to back. So we've jumped ahead a few seasons in the Miraculous show by this point, and now Ladybug and Cat Noir have a whole team of superhero friends helping them out. But when a powerful Egyptian artifact is set to go on display in Paris, this team of heroes all get akumatized by Hawkmoth, who's now going by Shadowmoth for some reason. So I know why, I don't want to explain it. And they steal the artifacts to grow their strength and take over Paris. All, of course, while serving Shadowmoth to get the Miraculous. And the first villain we face, Stormy Weather, sets off a massive purple storm that engulfs the whole city. So we set off to a series of different themed locations, do some platforming and fighting, de-evilize our friends, and slowly but surely bring Paris back to normal. So setup-wise, we're not too far off from the first game. Everything's just bigger and more fleshed out. And I mean everything. We are no longer locked in slow-paced bird's-eye view town, dude. Paris Under Siege has gone full, proper 3D with a completely controllable camera. And just that small change immediately made this game feel like a massive step up. But then, when you actually start moving, god, everything is so much faster. Your basic run speed is like burning rubber compared to the first game. And then you mix it in with double jumps, wall jumps, mid-air dashes, swinging from rooftop to rooftop. This is a complete overhaul. But at the end of the day, the point of the game is still to do beat-em-up stuff. Thankfully though, this also gets a huge upgrade. This time around, the game doesn't lock you into fights. The platforming, movement, and combat are all actually able to blend together this time in a really fun way. Dude, you can be running at full speed, jump, and then just fly right into kicking someone in the head. It is so satisfying after the slog we just went through. It actually feels really cool to fight in this game. Remember kids, fighting is cool. You should do it at church. You know, everything I just mentioned mixed with like the bigger scope and all the swinging around, this game actually reminds me a lot of the Insomniac Spider-Man games. You know, Spider-Man PS4, Miles Morales, Spider-Man 2, those. Yeah, Paris Under Siege really feels like it's going for something like that. Now, obviously, this budget kids game based on a show that looks like a Barbie movie is not on par with one of the most polished and well-designed series of AAA games ever made. Big surprise there. But whatever influences they took from those games to expand and improve what a Miraculous game can be did absolute wonders. This game kind of rules, but let's calm down a bit. We didn't strike gold here just because the game is decent. There is still plenty of issues here. For one, as great as some of these gameplay upgrades are, it makes the game pretty damn unruly. It is real easy to try and just make a jump or get through a fight and then just unexpectedly fly off halfway across the stage or even straight into a bottomless pit. And the camera does not do a great job keeping up with this more unhinged style of movement. Of course, the game is still pretty repetitive. That tends to be the case with most of the cartoon games I play here. And while luckily we have gotten rid of all the QuickTime events and stuff, the cutscene animations themselves seem to have taken a little bit of a downgrade. The first game might not have looked the best, but the actual animation, like the motion, it was quality. Here, not as much. It's all still serviceable, and as a trade-off, we actually get more cutscenes, all with full voice acting. No more of those dull text boxes, so I guess fair play. Hey, Editor Fofi here. I just remembered one of the more baffling things about this game. Most of these stages don't have music. For the vast majority of the time that you're playing this game, there is zero music going on in the background. Music in these stages only starts when you get into a fight. But as soon as the fight's over, song's over. It literally like slows down like a tape player just stopped. But because these fights only last a few seconds to maybe a minute long each, you are not going to be hearing this music for very long. You're going to be hearing that sound way more than you're going to be hearing any of this music. As much as I was enjoying this game, I found myself in just about every stage just going, why is there no music? It makes the game feel like eerily empty at times. I would have maybe changed that. But aside from all that, I am genuinely impressed with Paris Under Siege. The gameplay is genuinely fun, and not just for a licensed kids game. Like, there's a level where Paris gets overrun by a bunch of multicolored soap bubbles, and each color of bubble has like different properties. The pink ones are just normal platforms, the blue ones bounce you up super high, but the green ones actually hurt you. And then they use that setup to create a pretty solid platforming sequence where you have to scale a tower before a boss fight. And big vertical 3D platforming stuff like that, I'm just a sucker for it. And the final stage, leading up to the last boss, is this shockingly perilous platforming sequence where you're making these giant jumps between huge chunks of buildings that have been torn off the ground by that massive storm, all while still having to fight wave after wave of enemies. It was actually a pretty solid challenge. Yeah, anyway, once we make it through that storm, we face off against stormy weather, the exact same boss fight from the first level. I mean, that is a bit of a letdown. I mean, yeah, they've got some extra attacks and a new second phase, but the first half of the fight is literally the exact same boss from stage 1. It is cool to come full circle, but I mean, come on. At least the last game we actually got to fight Hawkmoth. Actually, now that I think about it, we don't even really see Hawkmoth at all in this game. He kind of FaceTimes in at the very beginning, but we only see his eyes and hear his voice. After that, he's absent for pretty much the entire thing. That's weird. Feels like maybe a bit of an oversight, but yeah. Ladybug uses her lucky charm, frees her akumatized friend, returns Paris back to normal, and the game ends. Like, it just kind of stops. Like, no major fanfare or anything, really. Just a pretty standard, goofy story wrap-up like you'd see in the show. It was pretty underwhelming, actually. Yeah, as much as this game did improve on a lot, story-wise, it doesn't really stick the landing. I actually think the first game had a much better final sequence. But I don't know, man. While recording footage for this video, I just kind of wanted to keep playing Paris Under Siege. You know, even if when compared to bigger budget, more mainstream games, it is still maybe bland or unremarkable, that speedy, kinetic movement system and how it blends into the combat was just so satisfying. It was hard to put down. That's not really something I experience while playing too many cartoon games. It really felt like I was playing a halfway decent Spider-Man clone. Which reminds me, I've been playing the PS5 version this whole time, and considering how cursed the last game's Switch port was, I guess I should check out this game's Switch version before giving it a full recommend. Okay, it definitely looks bad. I genuinely don't think I've ever seen a game this blurry. I don't know, maybe it looks better in handheld mode, but on the plus side, from what I played, that crazy low resolution does seem to let this game run much more smoothly than the Switch version of Rise of the Sphinx, that's what it's called. So you could probably make do with that if you had to. But yeah, dude, I'm actually pretty surprised. I was not expecting too much from these Miraculous games, good or bad. I've played so many of these cartoon games, and for the most part, the majority of them tend to be okay at best. With a few obvious exceptions, of course, but these games managed to defy my expectations in two completely different ways. One was one of the most enjoyable experiences I've had playing a licensed cartoon game in a while, and the other, or at least a version of it, was probably the worst experience I've had playing one, maybe ever. So if you're a Miraculous fan, I'd say just straight up skip Rise of the Sphinx and just play Paris Under Siege. And if you're not a Miraculous fan, I'm surprised you made it this far. Really? I don't know. Leave.